morning, media friends. As we celebrate today the International Women's Day, it is apt and timely to have with us our resource speaker for today's press conference and press briefing, a proud activist and who has served the Filipinos in various capacities before she took the helm at the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Let us all welcome Secretary Judy Taguiwalo. Good morning.
Thank you. Mayong aga, mayong buntag sa aton tanan. I would like to share with you the press statement, and this will be distributed to you after. As noted in the earlier program, which we just held a few minutes ago, the 17th ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community Council meeting, the third pillar of the ASEAN, is officially open. I will be joined by 9 ministers, heads of delegations, and the ASEAN Secretary General, His Excellency Lee Long Min, in a one-day deliberation of ASCC-related concerns that will be elevated to the ASEAN leaders in the 30th ASEAN Summit come April. During today's meeting, we'll exchange views and ways forwards on the key priorities of ASEAN for 2017, as laid out in the Philippine Chairperson theme of Partnering for Change, Engaging the World. We'll discuss the 2 key outcome documents under the priority a people-oriented and people-centered ASEAN that we intend to endorse to the ASEAN leaders as follows. The ASEAN Leaders' Declaration on the Role of Civil Service as Catalyst for Achieving the ASEAN Community Vision 2025 for the signing of the leaders in the 30th Summit. The ASEAN Instrument to implement the ASEAN Declaration for the Protection and Promotion of the Rights of Migrant Workers. I will further elaborate details on these documents in my opening statement later during the meeting, so please stay tuned. For our chairpersonship under the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community, we have 4 other outcome documents that will benefit the vulnerable sectors, which we intend to endorse to the ASEAN leaders in the 31st Summit in November. So these are the following: the ASEAN Leaders' Declaration on the Gender-Responsive Implementation of the ASEAN Community Vision 2025 and our Sustainable Development Goals, the ASEAN Leaders' Declaration in Ending All Forms of Malnutrition, the ASEAN Leaders' Declaration of Commitment on Antimicrobial Resistance, Combating AMR through a One Health Approach, the ASEAN Leaders' Statement on Youth Development. So these are the additional 4 other documents. So all in all, we expect to have 6 outcome documents this year, the 50th year of the ASEAN. As you may note, these documents are intended to influence policy and program development in ASEAN member states. These are all aligned with our blueprint for 2025. That would be all. Thank you. But I would like also to congratulate the Philippine Organizing Council and the host Iloilo City. The ministers, the different ministers just congratulated us for a very colorful and dynamic opening ceremony. So thank you everyone involved in the preparations.
Thank you as well, Sec Judy. Actually, Secretary Judy was just she's only here while the other ministers are having their break. So this press briefing is going to be as brief as possible. So we would only be entertaining 3 questions from the media, and all the other questions and all the other inquiries that you may have will have to be, would all be mentioned in the meetings that will be tackled today. So can we have our first media personnel to ask question? Joel Franco of RMM Iloilo.
In relation to the celebration of International Women's Day, what are the policies that would foster the rights and the rights and protection of women in this edition of ASEAN, and what are the contributions of the Philippines in these 6 documents? What are we pushing to be included in these 6 outcome documents of this ASEAN?
Okay. I think in relation to the fact that we're marking International Women's Day, one of the 6 outcome documents that we hope the ASEAN leaders will adopt is the ASEAN Leaders Declaration on the Gender-Responsive Implementation of the ASEAN Community Vision 2025 and the Social Development Goals. So essentially, it is ensuring that whatever economic, cultural, and social policies of the ASEAN will incorporate a gender perspective. So that's the key outcome documents. 2, the other concerns are really concerns of women, forms of malnutrition. So we know that while we have achieved certain advances in addressing poverty, stunted growth remains high in the Philippines. So I think this outcome document will further emphasize the need to address malnutrition among our children. 3, I think the important thing in the ASEAN provides position for women in the ASEAN. So, for example, the current Civil Service Commission Chair, Alice Bala, used to be with the ASEAN Secretariat. And now we have another member of the ASEAN Secretariat from the DSWD. So in terms of policies, in terms of personnel, and I think in terms of actual events and meetings, the women are very much involved in ASEAN planning, policies, and implementation. Thank you.
Okay. So our next question would be coming from Nestor Burgos of the Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Mayang aga, ma'am. Ma'am, you mentioned that the 2 major documents or that you will discuss updates on are on the possible declaration on the role of the civil service and as catalyst for achieving the vision, and on migrant workers.
Okay.
I know you mentioned that you will elaborate this on the opinion program, but can you give us the gist of what we want to achieve with this declaration? Anong focus ng declaration na gusto natin ngayon?
I think for the civil service document, the importance of ensuring the professionalization of our civil service so that they serve as key implementors of the different policies and programs. 2, to encourage cross-fertilization, collaboration, as well as exchanges among our civil service personnel. This is steered by Civil Service Chair Alice Bala, who served in the Secretariat of ASEAN for a while. The second one is basically detailing the declaration adopted by the ASEAN 10 years ago in Cebu, which is a declaration, the protection and promotion of the rights of migrant workers. We want to have an instrument, essentially it's an implementing rules and regulation that will spell out how this can be done within the ASEAN. So the discussions are still ongoing. As you know, in the ASEAN, we have receiving and sending countries. But I think everyone agrees on the necessity that our workers, whether in our countries or abroad, should be provided the protection that they need. How to go about that has to be fleshed out further in the discussions among our ministers.
Okay, thank you, Secretary. So, do you still have a follow-up question?
Ma'am, as probably in your capacity as the DSWD Secretary, as a human rights advocate, may we get your comment on the approval of the death penalty bill in the House of Representatives?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Can we have that discussion
Okay.
outside of this press conference?
Actually, it's this is just for all questions should all be ASEAN related. I'm sorry about that. So can we have the next question from Leonard Pineda of the Philippine Information Agency?
Good morning, Secretary. Since these 2 meetings underscore 2 thematic priorities. In relation to people-centered and people-oriented ASEAN, what can the Philippines share to its ASEAN neighbors in terms of experiences in implementing programs which are people-centered or people-oriented? Do we have best practices in this area?
I think so. We have best practices, and the different documents that will be discussed in the ASCC went through the process, meaning the participation of the various stakeholders within government and outside of government. So the participation of civil society organizations is important. I think the edict of President Duterte, his theme of Gikan sa Masa para sa Masa, is essentially translated into that first priority theme, the people-oriented, people-centered development. So we hope that these documents will carry that spirit, that it is from the people and will eventually benefit the people. Two, the civil society organizations of the CSO in the Philippines is very dynamic. Actually, they emailed us a statement which they requested us to share with the other ministers. And we presented it to the ministers last night, and they agreed that it should be shared with them, but it is not part of the agenda. So that's another practice of our inclusiveness, of hearing the voices of the people who have the stake, in our ASEAN and the ways forward.
Okay, so thank you very much. That ends our press briefing today. Secretary Judy will have to go back for the next session of today's meeting. Thank you very much, Secretary.
Thank you also.